The laughter was sharp, careless, and loud enough to turn heads. It echoed through the polished marble hull of the bank like an insult wrapped in confidence. She stood there small and tired, clutching a worn handbag, her eyes steady but filled with something deeper than fear. All she had done was ask to see her balance. Nothing more. Yet in that moment, the room seemed to decide she did not belong, and the millionaire sitting a few steps away smiled as if life itself had just told him a joke. He had no idea that within seconds, a simple scream would turn that laughter into silence. Before the story unfolds any further, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that every human deserves respect no matter how they look, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. She had walked into the bank that morning carrying years of quiet struggle on her shoulders. The kind of struggle that does not scream but slowly bends a person over time. Her shoes were clean but old, her clothes simple, her hair tied back without care for fashion. People like her were usually invisible in places like this. She had learned that lesson early, after her husband's sudden death left her alone with debts, a child to raise, and a world that seemed to close its doors one by one. What no one knew was that she had also been left with something else, something she had never touched, never questioned, and never fully understood. The millionaire had arrived surrounded by attention. His watch glinted, his phone rang non-stop, and bank staff moved quickly around him with forced smiles. He represented power, money, and certainty, everything she was not. When he noticed her waiting nearby, something about her calmness amused him. It puzzled him how someone who looked like she did could stand there without embarrassment. When she finally reached the counter and asked only to see her balance, the laughter escaped him before he could stop it. To him, it was absurd. To her, it was familiar. Her life had been filled with moments like this. Employers who dismissed her resume at first glance. Neighbors who whispered about her falling status. Relatives who disappeared once the money ran out. Still, she had learned to survive quietly. What she had never done was check that account her husband insisted she keep untouched. He had told her once, shortly before his passing, that some things were meant for the right moment. Grief had buried those words deep, and survival had pushed them further aside. As the bank clerk hesitated, sensing the tension in the air, the screen finally loaded. The woman leaned forward slightly, not with excitement but with curiosity, as if she expected nothing more than confirmation of emptiness. The millionaire, still smiling, glanced over casually, ready to enjoy the conclusion of his private joke. That was when his smile froze. The color drained from his face as the numbers reflected back at him from the screen. The balance was not small. It was staggering, more than he had expected to see in most corporate accounts, let alone one belonging to a woman everyone had overlooked. The laughter died instantly, replaced by a heavy silence that spread across the room. The clerk's hands trembled. The manager was called. Screens were checked again and again. There was no mistake. Slowly, memories returned to her. Late nights when her husband worked quietly at the table. Papers he hid away. His refusal to touch certain funds. She realized then that while she had been surviving, he had been preparing. Not for wealth, but for safety. For dignity. For a future where she would never need to beg or explain herself. Again, the millionaire shifted uncomfortably, suddenly aware of every eye in the room. His laughter replayed in his mind like an accusation. He had built his success on sharp instincts, yet he had failed at the simplest test of character. He had judged value by appearance and confidence by volume. In that moment, the power he thought he held slipped away, replaced by something unfamiliar and humbling. She did not celebrate. She did not smile triumphantly or seek revenge. She simply nodded, thanked the staff, and gathered her things. Her strength was not loud. It was rooted in endurance, loss, and love. As she walked out, people made space for her, not because of her clothes or posture, but because something about her presence had changed. Or perhaps, something about their perception had. Her life did not become perfect overnight. Money did not erase grief for years of hardship. But it gave her choice. She paid her debts, secured her child's education, and quietly began helping others who reminded her of herself. She funded shelters, paid medical bills anonymously, and invested in small dreams that had been ignored for too long. She never sought recognition, because she understood how fragile dignity could be. The millionaire never forgot that day. It followed him into boardrooms and private dinners. He began to notice how easily people laughed, how often they dismissed, and how rarely they truly saw one another. That moment changed him, not through shame alone, but through awareness. A screen had shown him numbers, but a woman had shown him humanity. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. And just before you go, leave a comment sharing what this story made you feel or who it reminded you of. Your words may inspire someone else who feels invisible today. Because sometimes, the greatest balance is not measured in money, but in compassion, humility, and the quiet strength to keep going when the world laughs too soon.